The lobby of Ellery Maritime hummed with Monday morning traffic. Margot Ellery crossed the marble floor flanked by two board members, her heels sharp on stone, her mood sharper after the call she had just taken. The contractor stood near the security desk, gray polo, clipboard, quiet eyes. She stopped 3 feet from him, tilted her head to one side, and smiled the kind of smile that cuts. "So when was your last date?" The board members smirked. "Ready." He looked up, met her eyes. "1 second. 2, right now. With you." The lobby went still. Nobody moved. Margot did not answer. She walked past him toward the elevator bank, the two board members trailing a half-step behind. The doors closed. The ride up to the 18th floor was silent. She did not look at the brass panel above the door. She looked at her own reflection in it, and did not recognize the woman she saw. Her assistant rose as she came through the glass doors. Margot waved her down without breaking stride, entered her office, closed the door, and stood for a moment with her hand still on the handle. She picked up the phone. "Diane, I need the personnel file on a contractor in the lobby. White male, around 40, gray polo, clipboard. Probably building operations. I want it on my desk in 15 minutes. 20 minutes later, the head of human resources knocked. "Miss Ellery, there is no Hudson Vale on our employee rolls." Margot looked up. "Then who is he?" Diane set a single sheet on her desk. "He is registered as a Tier 1 external contractor. Access code authorized by Joanna Reeve 3 weeks ago. The work order reads operational audit. Whitwater integration pre-clearance." Margot read it twice. Whitwater. The acquisition she had been chasing for 6 months. The deal she could not close. The name she heard every morning in her own head before she heard her own name. "Thank you, Diane." The door clicked shut. Margot sat very still for a long minute. Then she stood, crossed the floor, opened her own door, and walked the corridor to legal. Joanna Reeve was at her desk, glasses on, reading a red line. She did not look up. "You have something to ask me. I have a contractor in my lobby who knows things he should not know." Joanna set the red line down. She removed her glasses and folded the arms in carefully. "He has clearance to be there, Margot. I signed for it. I cannot say more than that right now." "Why not?" "Because I cannot. I want you to hear me. I cannot, not I will not. There is a difference." Margot held her eyes. Joanna held hers back. "When can you?" "Soon." That was the whole answer. Margot walked back to her office. She worked until 7. At 7, she rode the elevator back down to the ground floor. The lobby was nearly empty. The day guard nodded as she passed. Hudson was not at the security desk. She walked the service corridor behind the elevator bank, past the freight door, and found him in the mechanical room, sleeves rolled, panel open, a small flashlight clipped to his collar. He was reading the air controller and noting numbers on his clipboard. He heard her step. He did not turn. "Who are you?" "Really, I am doing exactly what my clearance allows me to do. You can call security." "I am not going to call security." "I know." She stood there for 30 seconds. He kept noting numbers. The fluorescent buzzed above them. She left. Outside the room, she realized she was gripping her own clipboard with both hands. She did not remember picking it up. 2 floors below, in the underground garage, Roland Pace leaned against a charcoal sedan with his phone to his ear. 4 more weeks. If the Whitwater deal does not close, I will have the votes. She will be gone. He hung up. He smiled at no one. Tuesday morning. Margot was at her desk before sunrise. She had not slept well. She opened the building security portal, a system she rarely touched, because she had her own access cards and her own keys and her own assumptions about who went where in her own building. She typed in the contractor code Diane had given her. She set the date range to the past 3 weeks. The log filled the screen. Hudson Vale had entered the server room on the 19th floor 7 separate times. The server room was restricted to information technology leadership and her own office. Even the chief financial officer did not have a clean badge for it. Each entry was countersigned by Joanna Reeve. Hudson Vale had entered the boardroom on the 19th floor 4 times. 3 of those entries were after midnight. One was at 2:14 in the morning. Hudson Vale had entered the legal contracts archive on the 17th floor 6 times. He had spent an average of 40 minutes inside each visit. The badge logs showed him opening subcabinets Whitwater, Coastline, Port Authority filings, executive compensation. Margot read each row twice. Her coffee went cold. She picked up her phone, called Joanna, and asked her to come in. Joanna arrived within 5 minutes. Margot closed the door. "Joanna, he has higher access in my building than I do. Explain that to me," Joanna said. She was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was very low. "There are some people whose companies you do not buy, Margot. They agree to be bought. And they only agree after they have looked at you long enough to know who they would be selling to." Margot's throat tightened. She did not say anything for almost a full minute. Then she went to her desk, opened a private browser tab, and typed the name Hudson Vale into the Public Securities and Exchange Commission database. No results. She typed it into the Navy Personnel Index, service record sealed. Office of Naval Intelligence. She sat back in her chair. The man she had tried to humiliate in her own lobby, in front of 2 board members, was not a contractor. He was not a building engineer. He was not an employee. He was the company she was trying to buy. She closed the laptop. She walked to the window. Charleston Harbor sat flat and gray in the early light. A container ship was moving out toward the open water, the same kind of ship the Whitwater deal would have given her clean cybersecurity rights to monitor. She picked up her desk phone. She set it down. She picked it up again. She set it down again. She did not know what number she meant to dial. Building security. Joanna, her own father, who had been dead 9 years, and would have known what to do. She took the elevator down to the ground floor. The security desk was empty. The mechanical room door was closed but unlocked. She pushed it open. The air controller panel was sealed shut, the tools put away. The room was clean. On the small workbench, where the flashlight had been, there was a single folded slip of paper. She picked it up. Inside, written by hand on a plain card, H. Vale, Whitwater Systems. When you are ready to speak as equals, call. Below it, a phone number. She did not call. She folded the card. She put it in her pocket. She walked back to the elevator and did not look at the security desk on the way out. Friday afternoon. The bell at the elementary school rang at 3:15. Margot was already in the carpool line, 10 minutes early, her phone face down on the passenger seat. She had blocked out a 40-minute window on her calendar and labeled it personal. No one at Ellery Maritime knew she had a 6-year-old at home. Wynne was her sister Caroline's daughter. Caroline had died 2 years and 4 months ago. The arrangement had been handled quietly through family lawyers. Margot had not put a photo of Wynne on her desk. She had not put one anywhere in her office. She had been raised to keep work and grief in separate rooms. She parked, got out, and walked across the side lawn to the after-school pickup yard. That was when she saw him. Hudson was crouched down on the grass, one knee in the dirt, listening to a girl in a pale yellow sweater and round glasses. The girl was holding up a drawing a cargo ship coming into port, the bowline tight, the cranes lifting a container the size of a house. "This crane right here," Hudson was saying. "Did you draw it from looking, or from thinking?" "From looking," the girl said. "Sunday, at your workshop." "What kind of looking?" She thought about it. "The kind where you wait." Hudson nodded as if she had just said something more important than most adults said in a week. Margot stood 10 meters away on the path. She did not step closer. She watched the man who had stood in her lobby, the man whose Navy file was sealed, the man who could choose whether or not to sell her his company, laugh quietly at his daughter's joke about cranes. It was not the laugh of a contractor. It was the laugh of a person who had built a small good life out of what he had left. Wynne came running across the grass and grabbed Margot's hand. "Aunt Margot, you came." Poppy looked up at the sound, saw Wynne, and waved. The 2 girls were in the same first-grade class. Margot had not known. Hudson followed Poppy's wave with his eyes. He saw Margot. There was a moment then that lasted maybe a second and a half. He did not look surprised. He did not nod. He did not pretend he did not recognize her. He simply stood up, brushed grass off his knee, took Poppy's hand, and said, "Come on, kiddo." They walked toward the gate. He did not look back. Margot held Wynne's hand a little tighter than she meant to. In the car, halfway home down East, and said, "Aunt Margot, why are you holding your breath?" Margot did not answer. She let the breath out slowly through her nose. That night, after Wynne was bathed and storied and asleep, Margot sat at her kitchen table in the house on Trad Street and laid the small white card in front of her. The card with the phone number. She did not call. She turned it face down on the wood. She left it. She came back 5 minutes later from the sink and turned it face up. She read the number again. She turned it face down. She turned it face up. She did this 3 times. Then she went to bed and lay in the dark and did not call. Monday morning. Emergency board meeting at 8:30. Roland Pace had requested it on Sunday night by email, subject line Whitwater. Time sensitive. The 7 board members assembled in the 19th floor conference room with coffee they did not drink. Roland did not waste preamble. I am asking the board to formally calendar a review of executive performance in 21 days. If the Whitwater acquisition has not closed by then, that review will become a vote of confidence on the chief executive. The room was quiet. Margot did not blink. She had 3 solid votes. 2 were leaning to Roland. The remaining 2 were old, careful, and had not yet decided. She needed 4 to survive a vote. She had 3. The motion passed to the calendar. The meeting adjourned. Roland caught her in the hallway outside. He did not raise his voice. He never did. Margot, listen to me. Whitwater is a small company. If you cannot get them down on price, let me try. I have channels. What channels, Roland? He smiled. The same smile he had used at her father's funeral. Channels. She thanked him for his concern and walked back to her office. 20 minutes later, Joanna closed her door behind her. Roland has met privately with the Whitwater Chief Financial Officer's representative twice this month. Neither meeting was on company calendar. Neither was logged through legal. Margot leaned back in her chair. The picture was getting clearer, and clearer was worse. Roland did not want the deal to